Holy shit, guys. Did Pomoly finally listen to me and fix the design of the StoveHut 70? Let's find out together. I'm really interested to see how it turns out. Stick around, because we're getting to the bottom of this tent one way or another. Okay, backstory time. Some of you may already know, but I pre-ordered this tent a year and a half ago because I really liked the style of it. It really appealed to me that it had a separate vestibule for a stove, so I bought it right away. It didn't come in until November of last year, 2021. I took it out on a trip in freezing temperatures, but it ended up raining. It rained for about 6 hours straight downpours, and I ended up with puddles in my tent. So that's where this quest began, guys. That weekend I started testing it, threw it up against the Spackmann water torture test, found out where it was leaking, contacted Pomoly immediately, told them that it leaked, that it's not safe for anybody in winter times. Hot tents meant for sub-zero temperatures, right, when it's freezing, and a leaky tent is not a good thing when it's cold out. I quickly found out that the problem with this tent was this seam here. Told them over and over again that it was this seam design needed to get fixed. Here it is today. They finally listened to me and changed the design of this vent seam. They also have a seam up here with the same design so that the seam flap is on the bottom and it's not collecting water like a gutter. I told them, I sent them close-up video of exactly how to fix it, and they still sent me 2 other tents with the same exact problem, and I've been telling them how to fix it ever since. But this time, StoveHut, well, their StoveHut 2.0, this is my StoveHut 4.0, they finally listened to me and they fixed the design. The bottom of the seam is at the bottom instead of collecting the water like a gutter and eventually failing this seam. I am very excited, guys, to water test this and see how it does. Let me know your prediction on this tent right now in the comments. Let me know if you think it's going to pass the water Spackmann torture test. Water Spackmann torture test? Spackmann water torture test. Let me know if it's going to pass the Spackmann water torture test or if it's going to fail. I actually have high hopes for this, guys. They finally listened to me. It may have took Luke from Outdoor Gear Review to get their attention completely, but I have been talking with them for over a year about how to fix this tent, and I think they listened. And guys, I'm really hoping they fix this issue because so many people like this tent, and so do I. So let's find out. Before I turn the water on, let's go over a couple differences that I've noticed. Besides this seam that they fixed, let me show you the seam up close. So here, this is where the seams meet here. On the previous version, they were up here. So it was actually upside down. So when the water ran like this, it got stuck on that seam. Just imagine that this is the old tent and I'm upside down. I flipped the camera. The water would come this way, get stuck here, and just soak through that seam. And that was the problem. But here you can see they redesigned it. They listened. I can't believe they listened. It took a year and a half, or it took a year. One thing I don't like is it took me forever to get a fixed, well, we don't know that it's fixed yet. They redesigned it. It took me forever to get a redesigned StoveHut. I'm not that happy about that, but I do have it now. So let's go over the differences and then get this water test going. So one of the biggest differences that they've done with this tent is they've added a zipper enclosure for the vent, for the flap out there. I am gonna be testing it with this flap open because if you're in the hot tent and it's raining, you want as much air as you can for precipitation purposes. So I'm gonna be testing it with this open. As long as that seam is waterproof like they claim it is now, we shouldn't get any water through here. Another difference, this one is really freaking cool. Look what they added, guys. I don't know if this comes standard or if they just sent it because they screwed me so many times, but they ended up sending a fire-resistant mat for the stove vestibule area. And it also has a whole ground sheet that goes underneath the tent. I did not set that up today, but I do have it here to show you guys and to see if they fixed the stove jack leaking problem too, because stove jacks in their tents leak. So we'll see if water ends up on this. Those are the main differences, guys. Not much else. Not much else besides fixing that seam and adding the vent cover, and they added that ground sheet fire-resistant material too. They also added guy outs on the vestibule there too. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. So those are the differences. Let's get this water test on the way and see if they fix their problems or not. Like all of my previous water tests, I'm most worried about this wall and these seams here. So that's where the brute of this water is hitting, and it is hitting it good, guys. This is gonna show us if it's leaking, how long it's gonna take to leak, and if they fix the problem with the StoveHut 70 2.0. Stick around, guys. Results to follow. All right, guys, I'm going in. Let's close up the door. Now, I did no tampering of this tent whatsoever. If you guys think that, you can go off. I don't know what time it started, but it's on the time lapse. Oh, I gotta start a timer so I know when it's an hour. Let me do that now. All right, guys, right off the bat, it's been, I don't know, 2 minutes, but we are currently dry inside. Stove jack's leaking. I expected that. There's no lack of ventilation in this thing. The wind is just whipping outside, and I'm freezing. It's like a wind tunnel. All right, guys, it's been an hour. Let's find out how the StoveHut 70 2.0 did in the Spackmann water torture test. But before we do you guys know I'm doing a giveaway right now for 3 Unigear sleeping bags? I'll leave a link to that giveaway in the description down below. Make sure you enter. I'm gonna be drawing the winners next week. Good luck, guys. So let's see how this tent did. Water torture test is still running. Current time is 11:25-ish. I was in here the whole time for the whole test. And it stayed dry, guys. The whole thing is dry. Corners, seam. This looks like water, but it is not. That's just mud from my hand. There is vent cover, dry, no splashback. This whole thing is dry, but once again, the stove jack is leaking. But other than that, this tent is dry, guys. Did Pomoly really listen to me and fix the design of this tent? I would love to find out if my suggestions for that seam are the reasons why they did it, or if they already had that in mind, which I highly doubt, because I told them way before versions 2 and 3 that I already received. So they finally listened to me. I'm saying they listened to me. I would really love for the fact that a big company like Pomoly listened to me to fix a tent that everybody really wants. This tent, it stayed dry. It stayed dry, guys. Now, I want to give a shout out to one of my fellow YouTubers, Dutch Blackfeather. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below. He's putting out some great content right now, guys. So go check out his channel. He's on the verge of hitting 1,000 subscribers. So if you like his content, think about subscribing. Let's help him get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. I'm going to leave this water test going for at least 4 more hours, or at least 4 hours total. And if there's anything to update you guys with, I'll put a video out there for you about that too. But I am going to torture test this for quite a long while after this. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Oh shit, guys. That is new.